You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
feeling fresh as hell.
Well, you guys better enjoy it. The fans loved it.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin Herbert.
On the move and throws and touchdown.
We're gonna do this together.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wolldog, sitting with my buddy, Kev Huggin Duggan.
Let's ride.
Let's not forget Kyle the Coach Duggan.
Just don't like touchdowns in that football game.
Yeah, no touchdowns allowed.
Colts, not interested.
In Broncos country.
The best joke we heard, what was it? If I wanted to see someone not score, I'd go to the bar with my 3 friends. That's pretty much what that game was. Yeah. That was so boring. Can't believe I watched all of it.
Yeah, folks, we are coming off of watching Thursday Night Football and just so
grateful that that's not our team.
Yeah,
I can't believe that the Chiefs lost to the Colts.
I know.
Is Taylor that good?
Must be. I mean, they must have had a bunch of guys that weren't there for that game.
The defense is no joke. I mean, you still. I know the Broncos' offense is not very good, but they have a pretty elite looking defense. So
yeah,
if you have a good defense, you're in every game, and if you have a running game with Jonathan Taylor, you can hang with anybody. That was just a really ugly football game.
Those are weird. Yeah, if you're walking out of that game, either a fan of either one of those teams, you're not feeling too good about that.
Dude, they would pan to the fan base like after a 3-and-out of Russell Wilson, and they were like laughing. They were like, "What is happening right now?"
Yeah.
That sucks. You paid that guy $1 gajillion before the season even started, too.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, yeah, no. The amount of money that they've paid Russell Wilson, and we were just talking about it. The team was just bought for like what, $4.6 billion, and it's just like, this is what you have to show for it. All this money getting tossed around, and that's the performance we get. But all right, enough of talking about Broncos country and all that jazz. We've got Charger stuff to talk about. Lots to talk about this episode, folks. There's lots of news going on around about the team. We've got a Craig experience, a Bolt beat, and a coach's corner lined up for you. It's going to be spicy episode here, folks. So let's start it off. All right. Well, first and foremost here, folks, let's talk about our boy Justin Herbert, who we didn't mention this on the previous episode, but right now he has 19 games with over 300 passing yards since 2020. He has 19. Tom Brady has 17. Josh Allen 16. Patrick Mahomes 15. And for those of you that remember the days of Andrew Luck also had 19 games with over 300 yards. But that's it in his first 3 seasons.
Oh, I thought you meant in his career. I was
no. In his first 3 seasons.
Say what?
In his first 3 seasons, which is where Justin Herbert is right now. He's in his first 3 seasons, but he's got 13 more games to go?
Yep.
So, yeah, Herbert is going to smash that record for sure. And obviously killing it against all these other Titans like Tom Brady, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes.
Say, though, we did not get the FedEx Air Player of the Week. I don't know what happened there, guys.
That. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I feel like they're blocking some of our votes. I feel like there's an inside job happening right now. Second time now Justin Herbert hasn't gotten FedEx Air Player of the Week. But we did get an award. So one of our guys got an award. Austin Ekeler, MVP, not MVP, N, as in Nickelodeon's Valuable Player. Austin Ekeler was this week's Nickelodeon's Valuable Player. So those of us that remember last year, Justin Herbert won this award and got himself a hair full of slime.
He's getting slimed.
Yeah.
So now we got a bald head full of slime. It's going to be great.
Yes. So I can't wait to see that. Hopefully we get to see that on the social media here.
Oh yeah, a bald head with slime on it.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice.
It's gonna feel nice.
Very nice.
Rub it in. So yeah, congratulations, Austin, for getting that. Let's take a look over at the injury report here, folks, because there's been some new names and some weird developments that have popped up here lately on the injury report. Most notable, Keenan Allen. We've lost him since the first game. Initially, it was like, hey, maybe he'll be back for Kansas City. Probably not, but maybe. And then, okay, well, he'll definitely be back for the Jaguar game, right? And then that didn't happen.
Yep.
And then like
there's a regression going on here. There's definitely something lingering, something going on.
Well, they mentioned one of the practices felt something like
he
not a snap or like a pop or something, and they're like, well, we just want to be careful. And he has not been practicing at all this week. So
hamstrings are scary, man. Those are the ones that linger for so long unless you really let them heal on their own. There's nothing you can do about it. So is this an IR situation? You just let them heal up?
Hard to say.
Where are you at? Because we're, week 5 and we've only had him for a quarter.
If they would have put him on IR right away after the injury, this is week 4. This is the 4th game he's already missing.
Right.
Exactly. So that's disheartening.
It is disheartening. I'm not sure what's going to go on with Keenan Allen. But then this name popped up today. We record these on Thursday. Gerald Everett, hamstring, got in a limited practice though. So that is
didn't practice Wednesday.
Well, no, he wasn't on the report Wednesday. He came up on Thursday.
Up.
Yeah,
came out of nowhere.
Came up on Thursday. So concerning to see that. Hopefully he gets another limited, if not full practice in Friday.
He was huge in that game against the Texans. He was the third down option.
He was
every single time. On third down, he was how we converted that whole first half. So him not being there. I know Donald Parham, we'll get to him in a second. He's coming back, but Gerald Everett's become a big part of the offense.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets a practice in on Friday because he's so essential for this team, especially without Keenan Allen, like you were saying, Kai.
Yeah. Justin Herbert's getting full practices in.
And this was the first week that he, Wednesday, full throwing, it didn't limit him, nothing. So
that's awesome.
Our boy's back.
Right. And then this also popped up. Dustin Hopkins, dealing with a right quadricep injury, was limited Wednesday and Thursday. And Tom Pelissaro tweeted out the Chargers are signing kicker Taylor Bertollet to the practice squad.
Bertollet.
Taylor Bertollet to the practice squad, source said. If Dustin Hopkins can't go Sunday, it'll be the 29-year-old Bertollet, who has spent time with 6 NFL teams plus the AAF, USFL, and CFL, making his NFL debut against the Browns.
I don't have a lot of confidence in that.
So, what do you do? What do you do? You just got to kind of let's ride this way.
Let's not ride anywhere. Riding doesn't work, apparently. I don't know. This is stressful.
I don't know. Broncos seem to at least have some success with their kicks, although there was one that got blocked. So, yeah, concerning to see with Dustin Hopkins. He's had a good season so far. Dealing with a right quadricep. I mean,
it's enough for them to sign somebody to the practice squad.
Right. Enough. They're concerned enough that like they need to have a backup just in case. Xander Horvath also was on the injury report with a quadricep, but getting full practices in, as well as Austin Johnson with a shoulder injury, full practice.
Trey too.
As well as Trey McKitty, quadricep, full practices. Joshua Palmer dealing with an ankle injury, I'm guessing from the previous game, got 2 limited practices in. And Donald Parham Jr., hamstring injury, got 2 full practices in, so we should see him
I'm really
back.
excited for this, man.
Yeah.
I really like Donald Parham, and he's a problem all the time.
I've got a signed photo of him thanks to Karen and Jen. It's framed. It's in my new apartment, sitting right by my computer desk, so I can look at it every time. And we need him back. I want to see Parham come out. And then Kyle Van Noy also kind of came up on the injury report with a back injury, was limited Wednesday. An old man Van Noy.
Back injury.
I'm sure he'll come on the podcast now that we call him old man.
Yeah.
Dealing with a back injury, limited practice Wednesday, but got a full practice in today, Thursday. So a lot of names on there. Again, some surprise names that we didn't expect to see, but
there's only one here in terms of injury reports. This is the NFL, so you're going to get injury reports for every team all the time. So we had one did not participate. Granted, he's a huge one, but a lot of these guys are going to play. It looks big, but it's not that much. We're hoping some of these limited guys, they're just that cautious, but optimistic that they'll be able to go at it on Sunday.
Yeah, Dustin Hopkins and Gerald Everett, those are 2 big limiteds, and hopefully we get to see some action from them. Looking over at the Cleveland Browns, they've also got a pretty big list of players that have on their injury report.
The ones that whatever this list is, it's like all we got to worry about is those edge rushers. So Jadeveon Clowney's out, and it's looking like Myles Garrett's going to give it a try. He's limited.
Right. Myles Garrett, for those that aren't aware, got in a car accident here recently, trying to avoid an animal on the road or something like that. But he was going well over the speed limit when he crashed. So he's gotten limited practices in. Whether or not he's not going to be 100%
either way.
Yeah, it shouldn't be 100%. Either way, it's still going to be a test for Jamari Salyer going up against either Myles Garrett or whoever their defensive edge rushers end up being. But they've even got Isaiah Thomas dealing with a hand injury, but he got two full practices in there. So, all right. Well, as we mentioned, the next team for the Chargers is going to be the Browns. And looking at their previous games, let's see, we've got the Carolina Panthers, which they beat by only a couple points. The New York Jets, they lost to.
That was that devastating late game loss where hasn't happened.
They just blew the lead like
crazy onside kick. All the above happened for them to lose. So basically, like all these teams, you got Pittsburgh, Jets, Falcons, and Panthers. They have not played the strongest teams this year. They haven't played anyone. They haven't played anyone like Justin Herbert. So I think this will be an interesting test for them to see where they're at. And then it's an interesting test for us. Like we talked about it on last episode. This run, Chubb is a monster.
Right.
Yeah. So, So we'll see what we're able to do. But I think their defense, they haven't seen anything like what we're about to show them this Sunday.
Yeah, they haven't seen our offense. Their running game is scary, though, because that no matter what, that's going to show up, and they destroyed us running the ball. Chubb had 150-something yards last year when we played them. Obviously, we hope that things have gotten better in our run defense, and it appears that it has. Outside of one big play the last two weeks, it's going to be a fun matchup to see because Jacoby Brissett, if he can beat us throwing the ball, power to him. I don't believe that he can. I think you can go man-to-man on those outside guys. Amari Cooper is good, but one of our corners has to be able to run with him. And then David Njoku is good, but Derwin James is the tight end eliminator. So I just think you put as many guys in the box as it takes to stop Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and say, good luck, Jacoby. I bet the game that you can't beat us. I'm hoping that's the case because if we have a light box and Chubb just runs the ball the whole game, it's hard. That's a hard thing to watch.
Totally.
Right. Excellent points there, Kyle. And if you want to challenge the Charger Chat merchandise game, you can go on over to chargerchat.com. Check out all the cool stuff we've got over there, t-shirts, hoodies, and stickers. You can chat it up with other members, other Charger Chatteteers in our member section, and ask questions and ask Bold Fam. So go check it out, chargerchat.com. All right, gang. Well, now it's time to go on to the next segment. It is Coach's Corner. Get to the corner. Get in the corner.
Nobody puts Coach in the corner. No one.
All right, well, I'll go.
Not even you.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
All comes down to today.
You take this helmet and you put it right in his numbers, okay? I want to see nothing but snot bubbles in his nose.
A lot of people want to blame coaches for a lot of things.
Nobody puts Coach in his corner.
And we shut them down because we can.
It's because I believed in you.
And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational, but that just wouldn't be our style.
Let's do it.
All right, gang, that's right. It's time for Coach's Corner because one of you, Dr. Octagonopus, asked Coach if he could take a look at why we were having trouble converting some of those third downs, and Coach is ready to respond. Coach, what do you got for us this week?
Yeah, so I went back and looked through every third down of the entire game. What was crazy, and this was just as I was thinking about this question over the last couple of days, I was like, I wonder what the personnel was like. I wonder if we had a certain personnel grouping that we liked in the first half, and if we switched it up in the second half and got conservative, right? So personnel groupings would be like an 11 personnel. The first number is the number of running backs. The second number is the number of tight ends. So 11 is one running back, one tight end, and that leaves 3 more position players for wide receivers. So 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wideouts. And we ran 11 personnel every single third down of the entire game.
Interesting.
We just loved 11 personnel. So for me, I couldn't come up with a look. We went conservative and we went into we were in 12 personnel in the second half, and that's why we weren't converting. Or we were in 22. We went heavy, and ran the ball, and we were super conservative. Not the case. We were in the same personnel grouping with pretty much the same players on the field, outside of obviously Josh Palmer not being in there the whole time. DeAndre Carter and Bandy were in there together sometimes, which with the depth that we had at wide receiver, we thought now we have DeAndre Carter and Michael Bandy in there on 11 personnel throughout a lot of the second half. So yeah, it wasn't a personnel thing. And in all reality, it was execution. That's it. I don't think it was play calling. I'm going to bring up a couple of plays here. The first one that I have pulled up, the first half, Gerald Everett was our third down go-to. He was Keenan Allen for Justin Herbert. That's where his eyes went right away. First series of the game, and we got the pick. We started there down at their 30-yard line. Boom, first, second down, we get held to third down and 3, touchdown to Gerald Everett on the seam. Second possession, 3rd and 12, we pick up 7 to Everett. We were short, so we didn't convert. Third series, 3rd and 6, pick up 14 going to Everett / Carter. Remember that ball where they were both in the same spot?
Yeah.
But still looking towards Everett. The next, again, 3rd and 3, we pick up 14 going to Gerald Everett. The next third down, 3rd and 11, we pick up 6 underneath. We had to check down to Eck. And then the Gerald Everett theme was picked up on. So what I want to show here is what happens, which I think this is what happens when you create a tendency, which we did. A good quarterback will realize that and find the opening, because Gerald Everett, you're going to see at the bottom of the screen right here. Another thing that we did that I didn't notice, obviously, in watching it live, is we isolated Gerald Everett a lot. We put him on the one receiver side. We have Mike Williams, DeAndre Carter, Michael Bandy, and then we isolate Gerald Everett solo at the bottom. So it could be to try to drag the safety over, and that leaves 3 with 1 safety over the top for Mike. Hopefully he can get open. But what happens on this route, this is third down. This is at the end of the half. We're trying to go and get points before the end of the half. You're going to see Gerald Everett is going to run across the field right at the first down. So he's going to come across right here. Well, that's a little deep. It's only 3rd and 5. Yeah, so like right here, he's going to come across. And what's going to happen is Bandy up here gets off the line. So, man, it's awesome to watch. I'm going to let you guys watch it a couple of times. He gets off the ball and shakes this poor corner so bad, gets behind. But what happens is he tries to retrace and catch up, but he sees Gerald Everett coming. So he bites off on it, leaving Bandy wide open. I'll play it so you can see. One, I want you to watch the release that Bandy has once he gets up to the DB. It's pretty smooth. He comes down to try to press, like, oh, it's just little Michael Bandy. Whoop, later, he's back behind. Now the corner, look, the corner gets stuck in no man's land because he sees Everett coming.
Right.
Knowing that we love going to Everett. Watch as up here at the top, he's going to bite on the under. Now over the top, Michael Bandy's wide open. That was elite from Justin Herbert. Seeing, all right, that crosser's coming. Now he's got 2 choices. Do I throw? As soon as he gets to here, I'll press pause. Right here, he has a choice. He's going to throw this if this guy runs with Bandy. If he sits like he's sitting right now, he's going to try to get it over the top. Because look how deep the safety, for whatever reason, the safety thought we were going for end zone. I guess it's the end of the half, so he was playing extra deep. But with this guy stutter stepping and showing his shoulders, Justin already knows I'm going over the top to Bandy. Elite quarterback play. Also picking up on tendencies because we loved going to Gerald Everett so much in that first half. It opens everyone else up. So I don't, and then I'll look now. We'll go to the second half so you guys can see. As soon as we get to the second half, it's 11 personnel, 3rd and 4. We throw it to Gerald Everett, hits him right in the chest, and just straight up drops the ball. We go 3 and out, and we punt because of execution. Same personnel, going to the same guy, should have worked. Just drops the ball. Nothing you can do about that. Next drive, 3rd and 1, pick up 2 with Sony Michel. That's a conversion. Right after that, we get into 3rd and 5. This is the play I want to show. Let me pull it up real quick. Okay, so here's the next third down. So we just straight up dropped the conversion to Gerald Everett. We go 3rd and 1, Sony picks it up. 3rd and 5 is right here. So this is still 27-7 ball game. This is, we score, it's the dagger. They give up. They all quit. They're fighting on the sideline. We're all hurrahing, chest bumping. We know it's over. This is an opportunity right here. 3rd and 5. You're outside of field goal range. You try to get the 5, but Justin sees a matchup. This has nothing to do with play calling. This has nothing to do with changing personnel, getting conservative. We're still in 11 personnel. You got one running back, tight end. Again, they isolated our tight end, Gerald Everett, down here solo, and they put our 3. Gerald Everett is not really a tight end. He is a wide receiver. I mean, he's Mike Williams. He's a wide receiver detached off the line. He's not really ever attached to a tackle. So Everett's down here. You have Mike Williams at the top. What you see here is you see safety in the middle of the field. So this is cover 1. They're going to bring pressure. So he knows pressure's coming. They're 3 on 3. And so he says, you're going to put the safety over Gerald Everett as opposed to Mike Williams. Mike's going to, I don't know which one of these guys has Mike Williams from this view. I think it's it's right here in the middle. He's going to press and release outside. He's got 1-on-1, 3rd and 5. You have a 20-point lead. I love the aggressive challenge. You're going to, what do we say? Mike Williams is an 80-20 ball guy.
Right. Yeah.
This is the time you take that chance. 3rd and 5, you're on their side of the ball. You have a 20-point lead. Let's go get it. You get the matchup that we love, and you're going to see it right here. He's in the middle. He's going to take off. He has 1-on-1. This is an aggressive take. Like, this is us trying to go get a touchdown. That's 1-on-1. There's not another defender except for in here in the middle of the field. This is what we want. Charger fans, we want big plays.
Right.
We want him taking shots down the field. Don't get upset when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work every time. This is one of the 20% where the defender was in a good spot. Mike didn't come down with the ball. That's going to happen sometimes. But it's not a matter of getting conservative with play calls. It wasn't necessarily a lack of execution. It's just we took a chance and it didn't pay off. Sometimes that's going to happen.
Right.
And as I look through this, it's like we weren't that bad on 3rd down. It was just the timing of some of this stuff. Like we were up 27-7. We convert that right there. That's game. They're done. They're quit. So after that, they score the next time they get the ball. We get the ball back. We have a 9-play drive, but 3rd and 4, Sony Michel picks up a 1st down. Then 11 personnel again, 3rd and 12, incomplete pass underneath. They get the ball back. They score. They kick it off. We fumble. They get 3. And then on that last drive of this, when we needed a touchdown, we were 3 for 3 on 3rd or 4th down conversions. Overall, it wasn't that sloppy. Like, there weren't a huge amount of 3-and-outs. It was just the weird little timing of when the plays happened that we couldn't convert in the second half that we were making in the first half. So overall, from what I saw, it wasn't a conservative play calling. It wasn't a big change in philosophy. We were in 11 personnel. Now maybe we should have switched it up coming out of the half. You did 11 personnel on every 3rd down in the first. But overall, it didn't look like it was like they knew what was coming. It was just like we didn't execute perfectly. So I think the 3rd down woes are more execution than anything.
And that happens. Like you said, it's 80-20. Sometimes it's going to be the 20. Like, it can't be 100% every single time. So,
just kind of sucked that it stacked up back to back.
It definitely kind of snowballed. They got the momentum. It kind of started going in their direction. But like you said, Kyle, it's not necessarily about conservative because we are taking deep shots. It's just not, it is about execution. And these guys need to be able to tighten that up a little bit better. You know, if you change half of those, it's a completely different game. So awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for giving us another awesome Coach's Corner. If you guys have questions for Kyle, like I said, specific questions. Don't make them too open-ended or generic, or make a time frame of 5 years or anything like that. No. Just
one game, last game.
One game, specific issues. What can Coach look at? He's happy to take a look at it. So thank you, Coach.
Thanks, man.
Of course.
All right, gang. Well, now it's time to go on to the next segment. You know him, you love him. It's the Greg Experience.
Oh, yeah.
Come on in, man. Kick your feet up.
Oh.
Greg Experience.
Hello there.
Make yourself at home. We got some stuff to talk about, right? Moving on.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and slide on in here. And hey, I'm back at home. No more birds, Dub D. Well, except the ones that are normally outside of my house, but they should be a little bit more calm than what we experienced last week. So there's that. And we should all be feeling a lot better. Coming off a dub against the Houston Texans. Starting to get the sour taste of that loss at the hands of the Jacksonville Jaguars out of our mouths. We got a rookie who stepped up big time that we talked about a little bit last week. So good things, helping all the injury news and things of that nature become a little bit more palatable, but wins will do that for you. Anyway, CC gang, big old salute, and to the rest of the Bolt fam, what is going on? It's your guy Craig in Texas, and welcome to a little bit more cheery edition of the Craig Experience. Let's do it. Okay. As I mentioned before, good win last week against the Texans. I would love it, though, if the Chargers didn't have to make things interesting all the time. If you get a significant lead, it'd be really nice to keep your foot on the necks of the opponent and leave no doubt. But I guess that's not the Charger way. Again, a win is a win, so no complaints there. Moving on to this week, though, against the Cleveland Browns. And ironically enough, this year's game is pretty much a calendar year from last year's matchup against the Browns, the 47-42 shootout. I remember being on the road, driving to a concert in Houston and attempting to watch this game at the same time on my phone. Probably wasn't the safest thing to do. But hey, at the end of it, at least my night wasn't ruined. Got to see an awesome J. Cole concert. Before that, Chargers get an exciting win. They don't have to make it as nail-biting this time around. It'd be nice if we could win handedly, but can't say that about this Cleveland Browns team, because even without their eventual starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson, they've still been playing some pretty decent football. So again, and not to disrespect them as a team, they've got plenty of talent, and I don't suspect that this game will be any less close than last week's was. If the Chargers jump out to a significant lead, that would be nice, but I'm seeing more of a closer battle throughout. Anyway, I'll get to score prediction later on. So the things that I'm looking forward to this week, from a defensive standpoint, let's start there. We know what the Browns want to do. They're a run-first team. When you got Nick Chubb and who's number 2? Why am I drawing a blank on the number 2 running back? Kareem Hunt. How could I forget? You've got those dudes in the backfield. It's going to be a long day for your defensive front. And if they start working towards the second and third levels and your secondary guys have to come downhill and make tackles, it could get rough in a hurry. And eventually teams like that with offenses of that caliber will wear on you as time goes on. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Braden Fajoko appearance this week as far as run defenders go, and Tito Ogbonnia. So, I mean, as far as run defenders go, a nice rotation of, those two guys plus your Sebastian Joseph Days and Austin Johnson would be great. But I don't know. I'm not sure how much they're going to want to sacrifice having someone with more interior pressure ability, even though Big Fade showed some growth in that area in the offseason. So we'll see how it goes. I'm more concerned with the edges of the defense, though. Khalil Mack, he's going to handle his business. It's the opposite side that worries me just a smidgen. We understand exactly what Chris Rumph is. Still growing as a player, has taken some really nice strides, put on a little bit of weight. He's no longer a string bean. What is he now? Like an asparagus stalk or something? Broccoli? I don't know. I'm losing track of the green leafies. But whatever. Both he and Kyle Van Noy are going to have a pretty good game, helping to contain on the edges and sealing that bad boy off. What I would love to see is a little bit of Carlo Kemp action. He gives you a player with a little bit more size on the outside to help to set a stronger edge, but they'd have to call him up from practice squad. Not sure who they wouldn't play this week for that. So I don't see it happening, but just an idea I'm floating out there. In addition to that, let's give props to a gentleman that we touched on. Last week, that had a tremendous performance in his first showing as a left tackle, even though he played it in college. Well, actually, he played like literally every position on the offensive line in college. Jamari Sawyer held up extremely well last year. Did more than hold up last week. Texans had a pretty decent pass rush coming into the game so far through 3 games. And Herbert was kept clean the entire game. He's on record of having 1 sack, but it's because he slid instead of taking a hit on a play that he probably could have scrambled for like 1 or 2 yards, but he was playing it safe. So it doesn't really count. So like I said before, you can look at box scores and stuff like that, but if that's all you do, you'll take something like that out of context. Herbert was clean virtually the entire game. And Trey Pipkins is playing some solid football. Say that again, but this is about Mr. Sawyer. Coming out there and performing to that level after barely playing the position at all in training camp and having it be your first start in the NFL, that's saying something. And you also are doing this on the heels of the babyface bully being out. Yo, that's some pressure. You basically coming in there and replacing an all-pro player, and there was no drop-off this week. Well, last week, should I say. That's saying something. This week is going to be a bit more of a challenge. If Myles Garrett plays, and I think that he will. Jadeveon Clowney, I'm not so sure about. Looks like he may be out. But if I was a betting man, I think Garrett's probably going to give it a go. So Pipkins may have a little bit easier day than Jamari will, depending on how they decide to deploy Mr. Garrett. But full faith in Jamari. After last week's performance, even though it was 1 game, he's proven that he can do it. And the offense just needs to scheme up some help for him when necessary, because one man is not completely shutting down Myles Garrett. So there's that. Offensively, I'm curious to see what the game plan is this week. The Browns' secondary has a bunch of talent, but they've struggled a little this season. And so I'm sure Herbert's going to get his. Not certain if Keenan is going to play. Again, if I was a betting man, probably say that won't happen. They'll more than likely hold him out for the Monday night game. I believe there's a Monday night game next, right? Don't quote me on that. But if he doesn't go Sunday, I wouldn't be shocked. If he had a setback with a hamstring, those are things that you want to give an opportunity to rest as much as you can. It'd be great to have him. But if not, I'd like to see Bandy get some more run. Saw what he was capable of on a couple plays last week, except on the second one. Young man get out of bounds. Could have saved us a timeout, but it's okay. Probably just like got super excited to be in the game and wanted to make the most out of a play. 2 20-plus yard receptions. So I think he had a really good showing. Mike Will had some big catches. So that's phenomenal. And it's always weird when you see Mike Williams catch a ball wide open, because he's such a big dude that for him to get lost in the secondary somehow, just kind of mind-boggling. But also, Mike's clearly not a speed guy, but when that train gets rolling and that big body's moving forward, he's covering some ground. So it's awesome to see him just kind of get to open up and run up the field. It's like a huge horse galloping, and nobody really wants a part of that when he picks up a full head of steam. So Donald Parham may be back in the fold, so both he and Everett being on the field sounds good to me. And somehow, some way, Parham ended up being one of the better blocking tight ends on the team last year. So you'll probably see a little bit less of Trey McKitty, unless the run game becomes a point of emphasis, and you may see all 3 of those dudes on the field at the same time at some point. So I'm just curious to see what the game plan is. Run game got going a bit last week. Y'all know how I feel about the run game. I feel like it's a necessity, especially with the Chargers, who like to run a ton of play action pass stuff. So you have to make it respectable, or else it's not going to work all that well. Eck had 3 TDs last week. Keep giving him the ball. When you get in the red zone, don't pull him out. Allow Eck to keep cooking. Get Josh Kelly involved. If you want Sony Michel to be like a short yardage back, fine. I feel like Sony should be more of a closer. If the Chargers have a lead, you want to salt that away at the end of the game, okay. But I'm not giving him reps over Josh Kelly. And at some point, we're going to have an Isaiah Spiller conversation, because I can't, in my mind, justify why Sony is necessary right now. I think Josh Kelly could probably handle that role, and you can start giving Spiller some run. He adds a different element as a back. He has some of the same qualities as Austin Ekeler from a receiving standpoint. He's a more natural runner than Josh Kelly is, probably on par with Austin Ekeler in that regard, and shifty and powerful. So literally, it's kind of like a fusion of your RB1 and RB2s right now. It makes a lot of sense to me, but we'll see. Anywho, let me go ahead and get you guys out of here on this. As far as my score prediction, I believe the Chargers go into Cleveland and pull out a close one. I'm going to say Chargers 24, Cleveland 21. So it ends up being another nail biter. Hopefully it doesn't come down to a field goal because, yeah, Hopkins is dealing with a quad injury, which if you go back and look at the kickoff from last week, you'll see that it looks like he may have tweaked it there. I remember watching it live and thinking that it looked really weird when he came down on his plant leg, but if he can't go, I'm not sure who the kicker will be. I think they're looking to sign someone right now. So by the time you're seeing this, we'll have an answer to that. But yeah, if it doesn't come down to a kick, I'll be perfectly fine with that. We could be looking at some more 4th and Staley action if he doesn't have any trust in whomever is going to get trotted out there for kicks. But either way, should be a good game. I'm not going to eat during this week's game as I did last week, which was a mistake. I got comfortable when the Chargers got up, and I decided I was going to have myself second quarter lunch. And by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, my stomach was not agreeing with me. Either way, I'm kind of settling myself in to have something very light pregame and just expect to have my butt clenched for 60 minutes. Anyway, y'all know what it is, Mr. Bolt Gang, or Do Not Bang, aka TOP_FLYT3 over on Twitter. Also catch me on my YouTube page at the Flight Deck, Charge to the Game. Probably have a post-game vid on this one, either dropping Sunday evening or Monday, 1 or 2. We'll figure it out. But until then, y'all take it easy, stay bolted up, and okay, love you, bye.
Well, Craig, I hope it wasn't a photo finish in that fourth quarter. That sounds like it was uncomfortable, to say the least. But another fantastic Craig experience. A lot of great insight into a lot of things that we've been talking about, but haven't necessarily gone that in depth on. You know, some of the things being like the running back situation with Isaiah Spiller. As he was talking about that, I had a thought. Okay,
let's hear it.
Let's hear it. What are you thinking, Will Dog?
I feel like, and this could be completely wrong, okay, I feel like they are playing the long game right now. They understand, and Staley has said it before, that we need to finish strong, okay? Part of the people that have been complaining about the conservative play calling, I feel like they might be holding some plays back to save to finish strong at the end of the season. And I think that also might apply to Isaiah Spiller. Right now, you're playing Sony Michel, you know, 1-year deal, veteran running back coming in to play a couple downs. We're not activating Isaiah Spiller. If we have a fresh Isaiah Spiller to come in and close out the season in a time that we might need him, might be the way to go about doing it. I agree that I think Josh Kelly should probably get a few more touches than Sony Michel. But this might be a long game type game plan as far as like, let's save some plays for the end of the year. Let's save some players like Isaiah Spiller for an end of the year, fresh, ready to go, hasn't had to play hardly at all. I don't know.
That's the only downside, though, man. He needs reps. He's sure never played in an NFL game. I understand like the idea 100%. And
it's just a theory. It's
a great positive outlook for it. Yeah. It's making sense of something that doesn't make sense.
I'm grasping at
we're
straws.
So good that we can hold this off in the plan of using it later. I see where you're going with it.
I mean, it's because, like you said, there's not a lot that makes sense by some of the things that we've been doing, or some of the things that the fans have been complaining about. Maybe that's the idea. I mean, we're talking about, like, you know, really looking into the future and 4D chess and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, maybe I'm giving them more credit than what's actually happening behind the scenes.
But that's why we love you, Will Dog.
Hey, we're shamelessly positive here, folks. We look for the angles. We look for what we can talk about. But Craig, another awesome Craig experience. I mean,
Yeah,
again,
thanks,
great
Craig.
insight into some players. I didn't know that Donald Parham was quite so intense on the blocking last year as well. So that if we get him back and he's ready to go, that'll be another great thing to look forward to.
We see this every game pretty much.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert likes his tight end.
Oh yeah.
He loves him.
He liked Parham
Loves
last year. He's gonna do the same thing again.
Yeah.
So whoever's in there is getting some looks.
That's right. Absolutely. So, all right, gang. Well, now it's time to go on to the next segment. It is the Bolt Beat with Jason Reed. Let's go.
Welcome back to another edition of the Bolt Beat. I'm Jason Reed, acting expert over at boltbeat.com. You can find us over on Twitter at BB_Chargers or myself at Eat Your Reedies, like Eat Your Wheaties, but Reedies because Jason Reed. You get the picture. Sorry for not being here last week. I was not part of the show. Hand up, my bad. Totally on me, not on the Charger Chat, guys. It was my girl's birthday. We went to Disney for her birthday. Her birthday fell on Thursday, which is, a little inside baseball. Usually when I record these things, I forgot to pre-record because it was a mess because I had to get work done earlier in the week to prepare to go to Disney on Thursday. Look, no excuse. Okay, I say I'm making excuses and I'm saying no excuse. No excuse. I'll be better. That was my bye week. I know the Chargers have a bye week. That's going to be my one bye week. I'll be here the rest of the season, even though I wasn't here on Thursday either because of the way the scheduling was. But it's okay. It's okay because I'm back. Week 5, we got the Cleveland Browns. Now, this is a rematch from last year. Last year's week 5 matchup, actually, against the Browns happened over at SoFi Stadium. This time it's happening over in Cleveland. 364 days to the date since that incredible week 5 matchup. That was my first Charger game at SoFi Stadium. Probably one of number 2 greatest sporting event I've ever been to. Number 1 has to be game 1 of the 2017 World Series. I love the Dodgers as well. And that's the World Series. Obviously, that's a huge stage. But this game it's better than any other playoff game I've ever been to with the Dodgers. It's better than any Charger game I've ever been to. It was insane, back and forth. There was a point where the Chargers were down 14. They went for it on 4th down from like their own 20. I forget what even yard line they were on. That game was incredible. I'm hoping this game, watching at home, obviously isn't as stress inducing. Hopefully it's a little bit more of a smooth sailing game. Although, these offensive shootouts are always fun to watch for every NFL fan. The way I look at this game, Chargers are 2-2 heading in this game. They're in the unofficial quarter way of the season. Before 4 weeks was the first quarter. Now 17 games kind of messes that up, but they're officially a quarter of the way through the year. And we kind of have an idea of where every team is standing. Now, a lot of things can change. Teams can get better. Teams can get worse. To try to pretend like everything's set in stone right now is, obviously that's not the case. But we have at least a decent idea of what every team is. And as far as the Chargers are concerned, I feel like we don't really know who they are yet because there's been so many circumstances that are out of the team's controls. Injuries galore, whether it be guys like Rashawn Slater and Joey Bosa missing the entire season or significant time. Justin Herbert dealing with his rib injury, which looked a lot better in week 4 than it did week 3. So that is very, very positive stuff. Whether it be that, whether it be just, other circumstances, disappointing, maybe, the coach is not preparing the guys for week 3 against Jacksonville. Whatever the case is, it's been such a weird season already through 4 weeks. And I feel like this game is kind of the fork in the road moment for the Chargers. Now, if they lose this game, that doesn't mean they're going to miss the playoffs. And if they win this game, it doesn't guarantee they're going to make the playoffs. But I view this game as a big stepping stone, as a big, let's see who this team is. Let's see how they respond. We got the response last week from the ugly loss against Jacksonville. They won the Texans game. They dominated the first half, let their foot off the gas. I on Twitter was a little upset with it. In reflection, now that we've had some days, to kind of let it simmer. If DeAndre Carter doesn't fumble that kickoff, we might not even be talking about how the Texans made that a game. But it happened. It is what it is. So now we have another game. The Chargers look to continue this momentum. And what are they going to do? Are they going to fall flat like they did against Jacksonville? Hopefully not. I don't think that's going to happen. Or are they going to come out? Are they going to prove that they are the better team in this football game and win the game definitively? They have not had a definitive win yet this season, even though in that Raiders stretch, in that Texans stretch, even in the Chiefs game, they were points where they were the best team on the field without a doubt. They just haven't put the whole picture together yet. So I'd like to see him put the whole picture together in this game. But like I said, it's kind of like a where do you stand? And now I look at 2 key areas for the where do you stand conversation with this game. First of all, left tackle. Rashawn Slater out for the season, most likely out for the season. They said he could return at some point. Storm Norton was absolutely terrible against Jacksonville. We all know this. Then they then turned to Jamari Sailor. I butcher his name every time. Apologies. To start at left tackle. They drafted him to be a left guard. Played left tackle, played tackle in college for Georgia. And he showed up and he did more than the Chargers could have ever expected. He didn't allow a single pressure. He had a PFF pass blocking grade over 90. He was fantastic. Now, week 5, he could potentially be coming up against Myles Garrett, who returned to practice on Wednesday after his unfortunate car crash, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. It'll be interesting to see how, that battle kind of goes. We obviously don't expect Sailor to be perfect, and he's going to have his lumps. He's a rookie playing left tackle. Like, he's not going to be perfect. There's going to be times where like, damn, the rookie year really showed out there. But if he can, contain Garrett and keep it from being this game wrecker type of game, and he's going to get help in chipping and whatnot, especially with Dalton Parham returning, that'll be a great sign. And that'll, even if he doesn't have a great game per se, this battle will sharpen him for the rest of the season to fill in at left tackle. And then eventually he's the left guard of the future. We all know this. Matt Filer might not be on the team next year. So this is a big kind of, where does he stand right now against the elite of the elite? No, we don't expect him to win every rep, and we probably, don't expect him to quote unquote win the matchup. But if he can hold his own and be better than, Garrett and company were expecting, that'd be fantastic. The number two thing I think, is kind of a fork in the road moment is the run defense. Now, there's been some misleading stats on Twitter about the Chargers run defense and them allowing, 5.6 yards per carry, 5.4 yards per carry. The second worst in the league. Yes, their run defense is still terrible after last year. Brandon Staley deserves to, be fired for this or whatever people are saying. Look, at the end of the day, those numbers are very skewed. And it is a weird argument because if you look at the numbers, the Chargers have let up 3 massive runs. It was like a 75-yarder, 50-something yarder, 50-yarder, one against the Chiefs, one against the Texans, and one against the Jaguars. If you take those out, the Chargers have actually been really, really good. Now, a lot of teams can say, if you take out our worst plays, we would be really, really good. But in such a small sample size, those 3 plays have such a big difference on that yards per carry. You take out those 3 plays and the Chargers yard per carry is suddenly 3.4, which would be 3rd best in the league. Now, if you took out every team's 3 worst carries, where would they stand? I didn't go that far into it. That was a lot of math to do. But it shows that for most of the time, when they don't let up these big runs, their run defense has actually not been bad. Now, the goal has to be not to let up these big runs. And even if their run defense isn't bad for 80% of the game, if they let up these big runs, it's still a problem. But it's a small sample size to try to like spin it as fact right now. That's just, irresponsible in my opinion. But this will be a good test for the Chargers. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are arguably the best 1-2 combo backs in the league. Do I expect Nick Chubb to go 40 yards rushing? No, I don't. Like, he's going to pick up his yards. Kareem Hunt's going to pick up his yards. But if the Chargers can hold him at bay and keep it from being that big, big game that a lot of these pundits are predicting, that'll say a lot about the run defense and a lot about the defense as a whole. Like, you look at the defense this year, I've seen some pushback from some fans with, Staley's the defensive guy and why is the defense still struggling? And there are guys who are underperforming right now. Nas Adderley hasn't been playing great. JC Jackson hasn't been himself. He coming off that ankle injury. But his 2 big plays allowed were because of Adderley, missed coverage. But at the end of the day, you look at each game and it's like, okay, the Raiders scored 19 points and hung around in that game, because the offense got too conservative in the second half. The Chiefs scored 20 offensive points, 14 of which, were off of should have been turnovers. You could probably make the case even more actually than that. So it's like, okay, a little misleading there. The Jacksonville game was ugly all around, but even then, Justin Herbert had the interception and there was another, the fumble, short field. That gave Jacksonville, I believe, 10 of those points, and the second half was completely dead. So, and then the Texans game, they dominated that first half. They let up the gas a little bit in the second half, but then you have Carter's fumble, which is an additional 7 points. You take that off the board, the Texans scored 17. So when you really look at it, like, the defense is doing better than the points scored indicates. So for that reason, if they can maintain this run game of the Browns, we could see a defining defensive performance for the Chargers where people realize like, oh, this defense actually is pretty good. Granted, they don't have Joey Bosa, which is a big thing. Like, not having Bosa is a huge deal. They Drew Tranquil was limited, although he probably will play. It's just, it's a big kind of statement game, I think, for the Chargers against a team who's not necessarily great, but is well coached and does have talent in a lot of areas. And if you could kind of come away with a concrete victory against this team, I think it does mean something. And if it's an ugly win, it's a positive, but there's still more to learn. So that's why I feel like it's kind of a fork in the road moment for the Chargers. My prop bets I want to give out this week, my bets for the game. Last time we did this, I believe I went 2-2. Went 4-0 against the Chiefs. Hopefully have another 4-0 day again here. I have 4 picks for you. Number 1, against the spread. The Chargers actually opened as 3-point favorites, in this matchup on the road. They've now moved down to -2.5. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't love Chargers -3 just because I could see this being like a backdoor cover 3-point game. Chargers are up 10. Browns get a touchdown with 40 seconds left. It doesn't really matter. At 2.5 now, with the push being out of the question, I love it. I love this line. I'm going to personally bet this line. I'm in a picks pool. I'm going to pick it in my picks pool. -2.5. Look, the Chargers should get the job done. They should win this game by more than three or more. And if they don't, it's a bad game all around. But you play this game 100 times, the Chargers are winning by 3 or more 90 times, I think, based on the matchup. So I'm taking Chargers -2.5. I'm staying away from the over-under because I'm not sure if we're going to get like a time control Chargers win where it's like 27-10, because it could easily be a blowout, or it could be a closer game. Like I said, backdoor cover 27-24. I don't know. So I'm staying away from the over-under, but I am going to take Chargers over 24.5 points. So just the team over. The Browns are allowing on average, I believe it is off the top of my head, 23.9 points per game. And they've played a quarterback quartet of Marcus Mariota, Joe Flacco, Mitchell Trubisky, and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield ranks 32nd in DVOA for quarterbacks. Mariota, I believe, is like 30th, 29th. He's down there as well. Trubisky and Flacco aren't even starters anymore. They've had the easiest quarterback schedule in the league, and they're allowing 24 points per game. Let that sink in. Who are they playing this week? They're playing Justin freaking Herbert, and the Chargers are going to score. The Chargers should score 25 or more points. If they don't, it's probably an offensive failure, if we're being honest, unless they're just milking the clock and it's an easy like 23-7 win. But I feel like the over is free money. It's -112 odds. I personally don't mind a little Chargers -2.5, Chargers over 24.5 points, little same game parlay on FanDuel. That's what all these odds are on. So who knows? Maybe that's what I'll sprinkle it on. And then 2 more props. I like Jacoby Brissett under 210.5 passing yards. I don't think it's a surprise, a secret really. The Browns are going to try to run the ball a lot in this game. And even if the Browns are trailing, they're not the type of team to go against their game plan, to go away from their game plan. And they're going to see all that talent in the secondary. They're going to see, a still Khalil Mack led pass rush. And they're going to say, hey, let's just hammer the ball down this team's throat. Let's run the ball a lot. And I just don't see Brissett picking up a lot of passing yards. It's going to take like a big broken play for him to get 211 or more passing yards. He's averaging about 207 per game through 4 games. I see the under hitting in that. That's -114 odds. And finally, I have a touchdown scorer prop. These ones are always kind of like shots in the dark. Last time I gave one, it hit with Josh Palmer. This week, I'm picking our man, Donald Parham, returning from injury. I think he's going to score a touchdown. I think the Chargers are going to specifically scheme something in the red zone for him to kind of get him going, get his season going on the right foot. And his red zone impact has been so sorely missed. And with no Keenan Allen right now in the red zone, and Austin Ekeler coming off a big 3-touchdown game, typically just how sports works and the NFL works is you don't score 3 touchdowns and then score another 3 the next week. It's just, regression towards the mean. It always happens. So I feel like these red zone targets, there's going to be a lot of stuff going to Parham. And I would be surprised, honestly. He's at +850 for this. Obviously, they're going to put him that high because he's not a big name, but like I would take this at +400. So I think you're just getting really, really good odds at +850. And if you bet this every time the next 3 weeks, he's going to score at least once in the next 3 weeks. And in theory, you're still going to make a +500 profit. So I'm going Donald Parham, touchdown score, +850. Jacoby Brissett, under 210.5 passing yards, -114. Chargers over 24.5 points, -112. Chargers -2.5, which I don't, it's usually just -110. Those are my 4 picks. Let me know what 4 picks you're riding with over at BB_Chargers or my personal at Ichirides. Let me know if you're following me, and if I make you money, let me know if you're tailing me and I lose you money because you should have picked my picks. Next week, we'll break down the Broncos game. It's a big Monday Night Football game. I'm excited for that. But first, got to get through this Browns game. It's a big game for the rest of the season. And I'm excited to sit back and drink some coffee and watch. Back to the Charger Chat, guys.
All right, Jason, I'm going to tell you this one time. You get 1 week. That's it. You better be on every episode, every week going forward. You get one. That's your one. You used
hope
it up.
the Matterhorn was fun.
It was fun.
Space Mountain was fun.
Jason, it's good to have you back, buddy.
Yeah,
Thank
buddy.
you for coming on and taking a look and giving us some bets, some overs, some unders, some -2.5s and pools. And I love pools. So, no, and it really is. It's going to be an interesting game to see. We've talked about Jamari Salyer coming in and having to, has himself a great week, and this is going to really be a test, even going up against possibly a Myles Garrett that had himself an accident, but he's getting
he's Myles Garrett.
He's still Myles Garrett. So it is going to be something that's going to be tested, and it's going to be exciting to see what result we end up getting from this. If it's going to be a repeat, if there's going to be a dip, if it's going to, I don't know how it can get better than allowing zero pressures against the Texans.
I think that's that we don't know what to expect. I feel like that game against the Jaguars, we're still a little scarred. Like, could that team show back up? And so part of it's like, I don't know what to expect. Like, if the Chargers play the way that I hope they would coming into the season, we should make pretty light work of this team. But if they show up the way that they did 2 weeks ago or the second half last week, then I don't know. It could be a tight game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, Kyle, if Jacoby Brissett feels like he can beat the Chargers, then let's see it.
Yeah, that's going to be the game plan. Make him beat us. Do everything you can to stop the run and make Brissett beat us.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, again, Mr. Reed, thank you for coming back.
Thanks, Jason.
We love seeing your face.
Welcome back.
We love it all. All right. Well, now, before we leave this episode, we've got some Bolt predictions to make for the upcoming game. So, fellas, what are your Bolt predictions?
I'll go first. So I'm going to take it. It's a close game, but I would take the -2.5 as well. I'm going to take it 24-17 Chargers. And my Bolt prediction for stats is we're going to keep Chubb under 100 yards. I think we're going to sell out to stop the run. Brissett might throw for 200 or so, and they'll still score. But I think we're gonna sell out to stop the run. I think we have the pieces to be able to do it.
Interesting. I like it. All right. What do you got, Kev?
All right. I got us winning 31-21. And I think Bandy gets a touchdown. I think Bandy's going to score.
Senior Bandy.
I think Senior Bandy is going to score a touchdown this week.
Not
only is he going to be activated, he's going to score a touchdown.
He's going to get a touchdown.
Yeah, he's moved from being on the active roster 1 week to now he's a pinnacle part of the scheme.
Easy touchdown. Just pick him up in your fantasy leagues. Follow me and tell me if I did something wrong.
All right. I am going to go I'm going to say 27-17. And I am going to say that Donald Parham gets himself a touchdown.
Parham.
I want to see Parham getting in the end zone. So, all right, gang. Well, there you go. Bold predictions in the books. We have gone through every segment that we promised, so you can't say that we didn't do it. I think that's going to do it for us here.
What a weird
That is going to do it for us here at Charger Chat, folks. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.